Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. Now with added Corey. Actually, Corey's here most of the time now. I think at this point you've been bumped up to like official cast member. Like we would have and introducing Corey Taylor at the end of the, So Corey, added Corey, everybody. He's here a lot.
Finally, my and good credit.
Yes. Also with us, who are always here, Liz Harper and Joe Perez, who are really awesome, and also me. Matt, but you don't care about that. Let's move on to talking about Patreon stuff, Liz.
So, hello, friends. I'm here to remind you that Blizzard Watch is made possible by listeners like you supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/Blizzard Watch. We are currently trying to keep the site above $4,000 a month. That's our little happy place that keeps the site stable and keeps the budget going. And I wanted to thank some new subscribers over the past week. Michael jumped in at $5, Zionin at $5, Justine at $5, and Catnapper57 at $5. I double-checked that number, just in case I had it wrong. I'm pretty sure it was actually 57. If it's 56 or 58, I apologize. I typed it wrong. So, thank you all for supporting. $5 gets you early access to these podcasts. It gets you ads-free on our site, which, by the way, we have a site, not just a podcast, blizzardwatch.com. You can read this as well as listen to it if you prefer. So thank you very much for your support. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, we're going to go on to their top stories and stuff that we try and talk about. Right now, there's a fair bit of stuff going on. It's interesting December for Blizzard in general. First off, Modern WoW just put out patch 11.0.7, which is the Siren Isle patch.
It feels, Joe, I want to ask your opinion on this, since you are a more technically oriented person than I am. Does it not feel like a little bold to release a patch the week before Christmas?
Yes and or no. So it depends. So it's better to release it the week before, so you have a week before people are off to take care of any technical issues, because your options are you release it the week before or you release it the week after New Year's, because those generally are like blackout periods for changes, usually as far as most agile development houses go. So honestly, it's not a major patch. It is. I shouldn't call it that. It is a large patch in terms of what it's doing. There's a lot, but they're not releasing a new instance. They're not releasing things that are theoretically going to break the game in a massive way. And I'm air quoting that because I don't think I've seen anything really go sideways today. But I could be wrong. And the Siren Isles do seem to be working as planned. With the
only thing I saw that going sideways was a little bit of people upset about the only flavor of blue gem you can get is a healing one.
Yeah, and that's because, and that's, I think, by design too. I think it's to cover the gamut of options so that everybody has something. Because, and we can talk about this as content-wise goes, one of the largest complaints that the Onyx Annulet had when we did that patch was that healers were just like, why do I need this? What do I care? There's nothing for me here. Or if you were a certain class and spec, I need this specific gem only, and this is the only one I will ever use. So I can kind of understand them doing it in a way that's like, we got to give something for everybody, so there's a little something for everybody. It's fine. But people are going to be upset no matter what you do. So, yeah. But technically,
there's nothing in it for me personally.
Yes.
I must have it. Yeah.
But technically speaking, proper choices to release it this week, and today was relatively smooth, and so good job, and a good job on the release. Although I will say I got to play through at least the initial quest thing to get me all the stuff and do the events and things like that. Have you guys gone through it yet today or no?
I have not yet.
Not me.
Okay. I'll be interested to hear
we're a bunch of slackers.
No, it's okay. I mean, life happens. I just happened to make it a point to try to get it done before the podcast, just in case.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be curious to hear your thoughts on it, because my initial thought is it feels a little bit like maybe a hair larger than the Obsidian Isle that we did with in Dragonflight. And it is.
I keep wanting to say keep wanting to say Forgotten Realms, and that's not it. I think it was the
Forgotten
Forbidden Reach.
Forbidden Reach.
Forbidden Reach. I think.
And
it's all blurred together.
And it certainly has some shades of it. There's a tomb you can go into that you have to do part of the quest scene in, and the interesting thing for me though is the story implications, which I'm looking forward to talking about on Lore Watch with Matt, because there's a lot of stuff tying this particular one, and it is an instanced island, I should say. You can't just fly to it naturally. You have to get to it via the airship, so you can get there. But I'm really curious what Matt's going to think about it and what I've seen there when he gets through it. But otherwise, it feels very much like that same instance or that same patch, right? It feels very similar to, I'm going to go to this island, I'm going to earn a ring, I'm going to keep earning a ring, I'm going to level up the ring, and I may do some stuff, but it just has a little bit of story sprinkled into it. So we shall see.
And don't forget that in a patch and a half, they'll nerf the ring because the ring has stayed too current and too strong, and no one's replacing the ring.
They just had to buff the ring.
For right now, but in a patch and a half, when we're in the middle of Gaslow's assault on the Pleasure Palace.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. We'll see how that sort of pans out, I guess. But it did, like, and this is, and Liz, you can talk here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, there was so much to say. But now I've lost it. Carry on. I
was gonna say, like, the ring is a decent upgrade for most people just on eye level alone. It's a 639 ring that can be fully upgraded to 658. They say that they want to make the ring a clear choice for the remainder of season 1, and as well as keeping it relevant into season 2, and then have it be replaced where it should compete with heroic raid gear and be replaced by drops from mythic raid and high mythic plus dungeons. And I think that's fine, because if they're scaling it, knowing what the next tier and next season is going to be, then it's fine, right? It has a chance to be okay. And with a lot of the gems being buffed from where they were severely nerfed before, I would say that they are pleasantly usable for the most part right now. And then hopefully they will fall off. It will fall off because a lot of it is seems to be capped effects. So yeah, we're pretty okay, or at least in my opinion. We'll see.
Okay. I think we should talk possibly about those mythic plus nerfs.
Well, Liz had something, I think.
Okay. Sure. I do want to point out something in this patch that with everything else, I had totally forgotten about until I was scrolling through Blizzard's, little preview blog that they post whenever the patch is new. And it is cross-faction group queuing.
Yes.
That you can now... One of the big annoyances with cross-faction was that, okay, you can group up and do a thing cross-faction, but it's like you couldn't do time walking cross-faction because time walking is a queued activity. Even if you had a full group, you could not queue for anything. So that put time walking off. That put a lot of special events. You just couldn't do them because even if you made a full group, it didn't allow queuing. Now it will. So if you have a full group, you can go and cross-faction whoever you want to bring. You can go and do time walking. The only restriction is the group needs to be full. You cannot pull an extra person into a cross-realm group from LFG. But I think that's really cool. One more way to break down those faction barriers and let you play with your friends no matter where they are. It's great.
Not perfect, but better. I am looking forward to full functionality where you can just have some randos as well, and maybe we'll eventually get there. But yeah, it's definitely an improvement.
It's a step in the right direction.
Tiny baby steps.
You guys already mentioned the ring getting its buff, right?
Yeah,
big buff.
Did you talk about exactly what the buff is?
Besides the eye level and that stuff?
Yeah,
yes, I already did.
Okay, yeah. You covered all that. All right. I heard you talking just then, Liz, but then you stopped yourself, so I don't know what you were saying.
I mean, it's a big buff. Blizzard was a little vague about exactly what they were buffing, except the eye level. So, I mean, if it's buffed beyond that,
the gems are a little.
We're gonna have to play with it and see.
Well, the gems are a little more powerful than they were in the PTR as well. They're not exceedingly powerful, but they raise the healing and damage and proc effects of some of them to put them more in line with current tier trinkets and or ring procs, so it makes more sense. And it's a power buff because instead of having one proc effect on like a trinket, you're getting 2 or 3 effects on a ring. So it's effectively, multiplying the number of procs or stat buffs that you can get off of. So that's really where the buff was. Nothing too crazy.
All right, then we will now talk about the Mythic Plus nerfs. Joe, talk about the Mythic Plus nerfs.
A lot of them, and man, I am happy to see these nerfs. Woo! Arikara, City of Echoes, Kikatal the Harvester, the poison periodic damage is being reduced by 10%, and City of Threads, Order Crix Vix, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, don't even care. Subject Shadow damage is reduced by 20%. And Royal Venom Shell, the Venom Spray periodic damage is reduced by 25%. Those alone are massive quality of life improvements for anybody running those dungeons. It's almost like Blizzard finally looked at it and said, oh yeah, not every healer can deal with poison. We should probably do something about that. And they did. So thank you. Grim Batal, the Twilight Framerender's Shadow Flame Slash, it got nerfed as well by 25%. Molten Giant got their fist damage reduced by 21 and the cooldown increased. Mistveil Guardians in Mist Eterna Scythe protected the mist damage buff reduced to 2% down from 3%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it does make a difference, especially in timing it.
Yeah, because it stacks too, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So you can, instead of having like 3 you have 3 of them stacked. Instead of it being 9%, it'll be 6%.
Which is massive. Yeah. Right. Then you have the Iron Tide Curse Blade in Siege of Borealis, with slash damage vulnerability reduced to 10%, was 15%. Massive for healers. That 5% makes a big difference in how quick you have to be on your reaction time. And then Stone Vault, everybody's favorite Mythic Plus key, gets a bunch of wonderful little things. So you have the Voidbound Despoiler Shadow Claw cast time increased to 2.5 seconds, up from 1 second. Thank you for that. And the cooldown has been increased on that as well. The Curseheart Invader Void Infection periodic damage reduced by 25%. Massive quality of life improvement. And then Master Machinist, the Ingenious Hammer damage reduced by 20%. Basically what it's doing is it's taking a lot of the stressors away from things that required a lot of healing. And I'm okay with that. Healing is good, and I have no problem with that. But I have no problem with it being difficult. Difficult is fine. But there are certain things and certain abilities that would cascade. And if you could get a certain mix of them as a healer, you just felt like you couldn't do anything. Like if your tank didn't have a cooldown or the individuals didn't have a personal cooldown, they were dying. This takes a little bit of that strain away and makes them a little more viable, which should mean that it should be a little less difficult finding healers to do higher keys. Because let me tell you, trying to find healers to do 10s and higher is a pain. And then being a healer trying to do those, oh man, you are scrutinized. Whew. So this should help. But yeah, good quality of life improvements all around. And then I think there's also changes to the Gilded Crests. Even if you don't time a 10, you still get crests now, which is fantastic. And I think that extends down to 8s. But also, again, just quality of life improvements. It's like, oh, you didn't get what you needed out of this. Here's a little something for all the pain that happened to you along the way, because sometimes it can be a pain. So yeah, like
and
very
also
good.
Helps
Go ahead.
Encourage people to not drop.
Yes, because
that was a run that can be finished.
That was the thing that was happening a lot too. For those of you that don't know, and I can let Corey talk about this a little bit too, because Corey hasn't talked enough yet. It was not uncommon for people to just ditch out on a Mythic Plus key after a certain number of wipes, instead of just finishing the key, essentially bricking someone's key. And that is awful when it happens to you. It's always better to just finish the key than not. And at least now it's giving people an incentive to stick around and finish the key, even if you don't time it.
Yeah. And it wasn't even just a certain number of wipes. Sometimes one bad thing could happen and all of a sudden your easy run turned into like we'll probably do it on time, but you're you're gonna have to pay a little more attention, but they would just disappear.
Yeah,
which is super fun, and we all love it, and then it makes everyone's night better.
Yeah, not frustrating at all.
I don't think he meant that.
What?
But hopefully,
no, the whole pugging situation this season has been pretty rough, and hopefully this makes it better for people who are trying to just get some runs in and have some fun and play some dungeons.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the other things too is like improving that sort of the grouping feature. It's definitely needed because pugging has been rough this season. We've been talking about it in Guild a lot. So we have a lot of folks that switch between healing and DPS or healing and tank and whatever. And occasionally when we get a group together in Guild, we'll have to bring a puppy along with us because we'll have 4 people. We don't want to just not do anything. So we'll pick up a pug, and the amount of times we've had a phenomenal pug, I can count on a single hand this season. Most of the time it's a lot of people being like, well, we had 3 deaths, I'm out of here. Or this didn't go perfectly smoothly, even though we can still time it, I'm out of here. Or, in one point we had somebody get so aggravated at something, we still don't even know what, pull a bunch of stuff, intentionally wipe the group and then drop group. Like it's been a weird season. Hopefully this encourages better behavior. I
hope so too. I guess they're going to be able to fly somewhere, but unfortunately the article seems to be taking me back to the Circe Circlet.
It's the Siren Isles. You cannot fly on the Siren Isles right now.
But you're going to be able to?
Eventually. Currently there is a quest item that you get that lets you double jump with goblin rocket boosters to your back and glide. It's nothing special. I think we've talked about this before.
Okay, well, the last thing that I mentioned from Modern WoW, Liz?
I mean, we should talk a little about the flying thing because, yeah, you go there and it's weird. You can't fly. But I believe it's going to take 6 weeks as you upgrade your ring. Do you know if I have that right, Joe? That you will eventually be able to soar around the Isle.
I believe it's going to be 6 weeks.
Yes. So it's like 6 weeks, kind of a long time. I don't know. By the end of 6 weeks, I may be beyond the end of my attention span for this.
But they're also not, it's not like you're grinding in 6 weeks. It's just you got to do the weekly content on the island, which improves your ring. Yeah. So you're not going out of your way too much.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be that bad. We've certainly had worse grinds to earn flying. But yes, we're back to the no flying on launch thing. Which
it feels bad on the Isle, but it's not as bad as it felt on other places, so I'll allow it.
And last one, because I really wanted to read this thing that was written here. I hope you like grinding currency because you will need lots of the new flame blessed iron currency. So I don't feel like we really need to talk too much about this. It's a new currency. I believe it's a Siren Isle currency, and you will need to grind for it because you want to buy things with it.
You get it for doing literally anything on the Isle.
Yeah, so go do things.
But I think things like mounts are like 10,000 flame touched iron, so it's a lot. And I don't have a feel yet for how much drops. It's like, okay,
I would log in and check, but I don't want the game audio to come through on the recording. But I got a fair amount. I
can tell you this much: normal enemies drop up to 5, and the elite enemies can drop up to 25. And then there's 16 rare mobs that can spawn, and each of them drops 150. So,
yeah, it's not just the mobs though. It's treasure chests, it's events, it's the quests and stuff like that happen too.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a baseline so you can understand. If you kill every rare mob on the island, you're gonna make like 15, like close to 2,000 iron.
Oh, there is something that I think might actually be broken right now too, by the way. And I just this will probably get hotfixed, and they'll probably hotfix it while we're doing this, if anything. At least for me, I was not getting credit for the quest of participating in an event on the Isle. And there are things that you can do to like use some of that flame blessed iron, and you can use it to activate 3 different events that occur on the island that you go through, and you basically kill a mini boss and get rewards for it. One of them is actually required for you to go get a gemstone for your ring. But like you can participate, and I don't know if everybody had this experience, but I definitely did. I participated in multiple of them, and did not get credit for the quest to participate in two events on the island. So hopefully that gets fixed. It did register one of them. It just didn't register two of them. And it doesn't specify that you can only do one a day because it's marked as a blue quest. So we'll see. But just something to throw out there that it seems to not be functioning correctly or needs clarification. One or the other.
Okay, now we're going to talk about Diablo because I like Diablo and also because it's the next up in the list. Sleigh Ride to Hell event is live. It's got a kind of okay, I guess, response to it. I myself, I've been playing a bit of D4 lately, and I have not done this yet. I have not done this yet, and I'm really disappointed in myself because there's a lot of treasure goblins, and you see, treasure goblins are my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just love them. I love them, but I love them dead, and I want to make them dead by any means necessary. So yeah, I definitely want to go killing a bunch of treasure goblins. So I'm already super excited. When's Mother's Blessing? Because it's mentioned in the article. When is that starting?
Same time. Mother's Blessing and Sleigh Ride to Hell both run for the same time from December 17th to January 2nd. So you got the holiday season to go and sleigh ride to hell. Obviously,
I accept this. This is my my calling.
There's somebody inside internal Diablo teams that's so happy that they got this name sorted out
to make this
jingle bell, yes. Jingle bell, jingle bell death. But yeah, no, there's a lot going on here. A lot of stuff you can get. It's just I think I'm on record on the site even as saying that there should be more treasure goblins everywhere all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the OUR just had me dying.
Yeah. Oh yes, you are. Here it is. The return of always be hitting goblins. So yeah, that was back in Diablo 3, but I haven't changed my position for Diablo 4. If you see a treasure goblin, you must hit it.
When you see a goblin, you must hit it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Let me go get my Devo hat.
Goblin.
Yeah, I got to get my Devo hat somewhere here.
But yeah, so that's happening, and I'm also tentatively positive about it.
Yeah, one of the really interesting things about this event is that, okay, there's supposed to be more goblins, which, great. We all agree, more goblins, great, even though past Diablo events where there were supposed to be more goblins, I have, logged on, and there seemed to be less goblins. So
because
I hope they figured out...
They were always, locked inside the Nightmare dungeons, and who plays Nightmare?
I hope they figured out how to make more goblins. It's like you add...
Yeah, I want you to look at the number very carefully. If there's a circle, then line, then circle, no, it needs to be an X. We need an X there. Amount of goblins made more by multiplication. Do not divide the goblin. I'll divide the goblin. That's my job. I will be doing the goblin division. You should be adding or multiplying levels of goblin. I hope this is, I hope this is clear. This is called, since this is my PSA to you. Path of Exile, put treasure goblins in.
So the interesting thing about this, the rewards there's several tiers of rewards, and they're based on global goblin kills. So you don't just have to go out and slay 100 treasure goblins. Everyone needs to slay a certain number of treasure goblins to unlock this reward, and then anyone can log on and claim it. So theoretically, as long as other people are doing the hard work of killing treasure goblins, you could just log on and collect.
You're welcome, guys.
You're welcome, guys. So tier 1 is 5 million treasure goblins. And
that's a lot.
I think I can do this. I'm confident. I think we can get this done.
By tier 5 is the maximum tier that is 40 million treasure goblins killed. So we're going to see, can the Diablo player base kill 40 million treasure goblins over the next 2 weeks?
I think you guys
that is the question.
I think you guys can pick up 5 million treasure goblins. I'll get the rest. Don't worry. Just kill 5. No, seriously though, this is a lot of goblins.
Yes, it's so many. So that again is why I really hope they figured out more goblins. More.
Yes. Or if you do have more goblins, put them just everywhere. Don't put them inside an instance. Put them everywhere. We would just want them to be everywhere. That's what we're asking for.
And the rewards are also really cool. And there's a reindeer or a reindeer armor thing going on here. I think it must be mount armor that you just put like reindeer
Yeah, the
horns on
harvest-
whatever you're riding.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the Harvest Mare barding. Yeah, it's armor for your mount. You just stick it.
And
Yes.
that's
so
from the
just in case.
40 million goblins. So make sure you kill a lot of goblins.
No, it's actually on a couple other versions. I think you can get up to. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it's tier 5. 40 million goblins.
It's also tier 4.
So that's the
That's a trophy.
mount trophy.
That's the trophy,
Yeah. So you've got the Fruit of the Harvest mount trophy. I wonder if I typoed this. No. Fruit of the Harvest mount trophy, then the Harvest Mare's totem mount trophy, then the Harvest Mare's barding mount armor at tier 5. That's completely easy to keep track of.
Next year,
Very
guys,
simple.
please make the barding have a big red nose. It can be just blood dripping off of it. That's fine because it's
Oh, yeah,
Diablo.
that
That's
is
very
completely in
Diablo.
theme. That'd
Yeah.
be perfect. Yeah.
Well, it's like
So
I owed this idea to like a weird horror comic I read once. It was like somebody did their own comic for Diablo. It was like how to do holidays in Diablo. And it was just like, there's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because his nose is covered in blood. So I steal that idea from whoever did it. I don't remember. But yeah, in addition to this, which is in of itself, it's just touching, warming the cockles of my heart. There's also this WoW D4 crossover with freebies if you own both games. This is what you said here?
Yes. So if you own Vessel of Hatred, oh my gosh, I need to double check this because the website was down earlier when I was trying to do the thing. But yes, I believe it is if you own The War Within and Vessel of Hatred, you can pick up these free goodies that will be delivered by or possibly before January 13th. It's going to be one of those things that you pick up in your gifts tab on BattleNet. So
I think it was you had until the 13th to have purchased both
maybe
games,
so.
and then rewards
could
would
be
be sent out after that. But again, the news site is down, so I can't 100% confirm. But I feel like that's what I read the first time I saw that.
Yeah, and the things you're going to be getting are, I'm going to read them out because for
Just
Diablo
so
4, there's the Invincible bundle, which is the Invincible aspect, which is basically just an Invincible. The Bard of Undying Loyalty, I don't know what that is, actually. I don't remember. I was just looking at it, too. The Domination Helm, kind of, you know what that is. And Echo of Frostmourne, which is like you stick Frostmourne on the side of your mount and ride around going, look, I got Frostmourne. It's kind of nuts, but yeah, that stuff's there. So now it will be free. If you own both, remember you got to own Vessel of Hatred, we think, and World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Probably
The War Within.
Yeah, the War
Vessel
Within.
of Hatred and the War Within. So if you're up to date on your Blizzard titles, there you go.
And in WoW, you're going to get cosmetics from the launch event. So you remember the launch event for the War Within. So it's going to be the Bodily Soulstone, Enmity Bundle, Eternity Cloak, Enmity Hood, the Livestock Lochaber Axe, which is the axe that the cow people used. Nightmare Banner, the 12-string guitar, Wirt's Fightin' Leg, Wirt's Haunted Leg, Wirt's Last Leg, Tome of Town Portal, which I still have that thing. So yay! The Amalgam of Rage mount, and you guys remember the Amalgam of Rage, which is just terrifying.
Oh yes.
So that's what you're getting in WoW. So WoW's getting more stuff, but WoW has more stuff to give you.
But the other thing is, if you got all the rewards during the Diablo 4 launch event, I don't think there's anything new here. I think it's just
it doesn't appear to be.
That looks
so
all the stuff I got already.
Yeah, and for that matter, the Invincible bundle, it's if you've already bought that bundle.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just the same stuff. So yeah. Still, go ahead.
Also, if you wanted to, get these things, you currently both the War Within and Vessel of Hatred are on sale because it's the holidays and we celebrate them by buying things.
Yeah, pretty much. That is what we do in this capitalist. But also, now that we've talked about all that, we can move on to talking about Hearthstone because I got to read this to you. Battlegrounds are weird, y'all. Sorry, you guys. I'm making it weirder.
You're not supposed to read my random notes.
But your random notes are the best part. Oh my god. But we have the best strat for elementals is to lever to tier 2 and then stop and cycle ballers forever. So there's a balance patch here. I'm gonna let Liz and possibly Corey talk about it. What's going on in Hearthstone?
Well, this is Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is that's my favorite way to play Hearthstone. And since the latest Battleground season launched, I don't know, it's just felt a little weird. Like, usually a new Battleground season launches and I can jump in and play, and it's fine, it's a little different, it's fun. But there were so many changes with this Battleground season, so many minions rotated out, so many new minions. A lot of minion families have really different playstyles. Quillboar are totally different. Murlocs are totally different. Mechs are maybe the only one that are kind of similar to where they were. Demons are a little similar to where they were. But there was a lot of change happening. And one of the things I think a lot of people noticed was the elementals. Because elementals have always had kind of a vibe where you play more elementals, and playing elementals will buff your elementals or buff elementals in the store. So the goal is always be playing elementals. Kind of like the treasure goblin thing. Except the new goal had turned into, if you got an elemental family, you level to tier 2. You start out at tier 1, you level to tier 2, and then you stop. Usually you're trying to level to tier 6 because that's where all the biggest, baddest minions are. But instead of doing that, you would hit tier 2 and you would stop, because that's where you get like all of the buff minions. So there are a couple of minions called ballers, which there's one that increases all of your minions' health, and there's one that increases all of your minions' attack when you sell them. So you just buy it, you sell it, buy it, sell it, buy it, sell it. And the thing is, by only leveling to tier 2, you have a higher chance to get more of those, because you don't have access to the higher level stuff. So this gives you access to all of these puny little mobs, but they buff themselves. So it's a really boring strategy. It's like, I'm going to level to tier 2, and then I'm just going to refresh until I see this mob, and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to keep doing that until I win the game. Because sometimes that's how it works. So, yeah. Today, Hearthstone rolled out a huge balance patch. It has stuff for constructed, but it also has a massive number of changes to Battlegrounds. A lot of buffs and nerfs for hero powers. It's adjusted all of the armor values for tons and tons of heroes. I'm not sure if it's all heroes, but lots of them. And lots of minion changes. So I am eager to jump back in now that the patch has rolled out and see how it plays, because I have not gotten used to the new Battleground meta. It's so different than it was last season, and I mean that's fun, that's refreshing, but it's like, wow, I can't figure this out, probably because I keep trying to, level up to tier 6, and that was not always the best strategy, when I should have just stopped, given up, continued buying the same mobs over and over. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out with all of these so many changes. Yes, that's all.
Corey, you got anything to say on this one, or do you want to move on to the Heroes of the Storm patch?
I just love that the minion that caused all the problem was the baller.
Yep. Yeah, there are two of them. There are two of them with different names, but they're both something baller. So yeah. Wow, I hope I am not missaying that, because that would just be embarrassing. I'm pretty sure that's what they are.
I'm pretty sure that's what they are.
If not, someone will comment.
I'm sure they will. If not, just, use your imagination and insert the correct minion name.
All right, Corey, here's a Storm patch. I'm looking at it now because it's actually up on the site again, or at least it was for a second. So, yeah, there's a lot of changes in this patch.
There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of little stuff in there, just kind of like bug fixes. But there's a few reworks. Imperius gets a little rework on one of his level 10s that just changes the damage. There's a little rework to the polybomb on Medivh. So there's lots of little stuff, but there is a new custom game mode that they just kind of snuck in there for the season called Snowbrawl, which has you collecting presents and snowballs and launching snowballs at your enemies and summoning giant snow elementals to push down lanes for you, which is fun and more work than we were kind of expecting in a patch.
Bring it back full time, Blizzard, please.
We've been getting about a patch per month on Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, and a lot of balance patches and stuff like that too. It's starting to feel like it's giving me hope, and I know Corey's feeling the same thing, because like every time they release one, I'm just like, maybe now, maybe we're gonna get an announcement. Maybe they're gonna. Maybe HOTS is back on the menu. Like the amount of hours I spent in that game. Oh man.
So many. The hopium is so real.
Super real.
Big hits off that.
What's really weird is that Heroes was the only game of its type, the only MOBA that I actually really liked playing. I can't get into like the other ones, and I mean some of them are very good, and I'm not saying they're not. But just it's a little harder to get into them, and it's for whatever reason, Heroes of the Storm was super easy to get. Well,
part of it is because it did the one thing that other MOBAs were not willing to do, which was take away the shop, and you don't have to worry about building specific things and you doing like specific item builds and then worrying about your gold and do you have enough resources to trade in for it. You leveled up, you picked a talent, and that you were good to go. Like you picked a build and you just had your talent. So it took away a lot of the paralyzation of choice that a lot of MOBAs find players in. And especially like, and I was thinking about this the other day and because I still play League of Legends. I play ARAM because I have fun with it. It's just I do it once and just kind of like once a night or once every couple days just to feel alive. I need that salt in my life. But you the builds and changes, like you always have to buy or figure out what items are best for the composition you are playing with and against. And that matters even more in a regular game. Whereas in Heroes of the Storm, you didn't have that stress. It's what's the best ultimate? Which talent works the best for what I want to do right now? And then you just went and you had fun and it was all about the engagement. It was about the battle. It was about the actual, like getting in there and mixing it up as quick as possible. Not, I'm going to mix it up and then I have to go back and make sure that I adjust my build. Maybe I sell these items and get these other ones because these other ones will work better. Like it made it a lot more accessible. And that cannot be overstated.
And it also shows that, the whole Blizzard thing of like looking at a game out there in the world and then taking it down to just like the best parts of it is why they were successful.
Yeah, that was the Blizzard formula, right? They did it with WoW with MMOs at the time, and they still continue to do that to a certain extent. They did it with Heroes of the Storm. I mean, they did it with RTSs. They did it with Diablo to maybe a different extreme, because they've made, we talked about this before, Diablo 4 is all the best parts of Diablo 3 plus some. And I think we've all pretty much come to that same conclusion. So like, they're really good at distilling things down once they know what they're looking for. So my 2 cents. And Heroes of the Storm, I think, deserves its time to come back and shine. The other thing that I think would be really cool about it is imagine if they made it available on consoles.
It could work.
I think that the interface works perfectly with a controller. There
were a couple heroes who could get enough extra action buttons that things got tougher, but
I think they could figure something out with it. I think and this is just pie in the sky because like I think that would breathe new life into that type of game, especially if it was on Game Pass. You throw it on Game Pass. You do what League of Legends used to do or Riot used to do with the Prime Gaming capsules, where get a skin. Here you go. You have the Game Pass. Here's a skin. Who's your favorite hero? Here, it's going to be this one this month because we're gonna give you something neat that's going to make you want to play this one. I mean, and it was just a lot of fun. Like I still remember. Why can't I think of his name? The Primeval. Asmodeus.
Primeval.
Asmodan, the lesser evil. He's a lesser evil. But like the whole Monstar Space Jam skin that he got was my favorite thing that had ever been done in any MOBA ever. It's like, yep, even the minions I summon have like basketball jerseys and they're going to go like dribble balls at you because why not? Let's just go for it.
And that was just a response to the fan memes around of like him hitting the 3-pointers from far away.
It remains one of my favorite Blizzard games that I don't think got nearly enough love.
So the community has rallied around a singular figure in terms of the Heroes of the Storm updates, which are still happening. And obviously this may or may not be true. We don't know what the internals look like, but they're calling it's a HOTS janitor who just keeps putting out the good work and updating things.
Some guy who's just sneaking in every night. Mission Impossible style, hanging from the ceiling. Puts a disc, puts a thumb drive in. It's like, yes, the new patch. No, away. But since we've talked about that, we've got a solid 10, 15 minutes left. So let's talk a little bit about the Blizzard 2024 year in review, because in addition to the 4.5 billion spiders killed, which is in and of itself was like, wow, that's an actual thing they figured out. I like finding out that there are 1.7 trillion demons killed in Diablo 4. 1.7 trillion. That sounds like like a damage number from the end of Diablo 3.
It's the thing is, it's what else is there to do in Diablo? All you're doing every time you log on is killing demons. That is the entire game. Like in World of Warcraft, sometimes you're killing Nerubians, sometimes you're killing other things. And in Diablo, it's like a solid 90% demons. That's your goal every time you log on. Kill demons.
Yep, I'm not arguing. I just think it's hilarious. I just think the idea of like having to be the person to count that.
One demon,
yeah.
2 demons.
Luckily, we wrote it into the software, so we didn't have to even worry about it. But in addition to that one, there's also been 480 million player deaths, which I can attest to. I've died probably at least 1 million times. So if there's another 480 people playing at my level, yeah, there you go. There's the kill. There's the deaths.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. This looks to be they have WoW with the Nerubian thing. Then they've got what I'm pretty sure is it's Rumble, Warcraft Rumble.
Yep.
400 million Cenarian family minis played, and I love the little Cenarian mini next to the thing, which is this little ancient. He just looks so grumpy and so cute and sleepy. He looks so tired. He's like, I'm just trying to get rest. Get off my lawn, you undead people. Specifically, my lawn is my friends. I like those guys. They're tiny, but they're friendly. So yeah, I'm really fond of that. I didn't pick up Warcraft Rumble as a game just because I don't really do a ton of mobile games, and frankly, Diablo Immortal was the only one I was really enjoying.
Good.
Now
news,
I don't have to.
It's on PC. Yeah,
it sure is.
Okay, Corey, you want to say what that means before we move on?
Oh, it's just on PC now. You can download it and install it on your computer, and it's got a couple quality of life updates, and it's free.
It sounded sarcastic when you said it. Like, it sure is. I was like, what? Well, okay, whatever, man.
Oh, I was going for agreeable, but okay.
Here's got 4 billion Murlocs played in Battlegrounds. Not sure why so many Murlocs, but
Yeah, I mean, in Battlegrounds, you have minion families, and so you're playing this type of minion or that type of minion. When you pick a family to use, that's what you're playing. You're playing that is your warband. So if you play one Murloc, you're gonna play another Murloc, and then you're gonna play another Murloc, and then you're gonna play 50 Murlocs by the time you're done with the game. That's how it goes.
It's like that thing about 50 feral hogs, except with Murlocs. I also just realized they ended this whole thing with they talk about how many it's more Murlocs than people in the US, China, India, and all of Europe combined, and then they add which is just okay. Yeah. Just do the whole thing in Murloc next time. Don't put any English in there. Just have it be That's my favorite thing about the like in Dragonflight, going to as Murloc, and everything was Murloc. The quest text, everything. I thought it was the best thing they ever did. So yeah, that's happening. 1.7 trillion dead players, and apparently people spent 203 years inside the Clash maps for Overwatch 2. I am surprised to find that out, but 203 years. I guess they were going in spaceships or something. I'm not sure. It looks like a spaceship.
I don't know. It's not so hard to believe. 10 people at a 15-minute match. That means that
I do like enough time to fly to Neptune and back 8 times over. It's like depending on how fast you can go. Yeah, I might take.
It's like, what are you using for that calculation, Blizzard?
Yeah.
Do you know something we don't?
Really hard.
I can't fly to Neptune at any speed, so who knows?
Yeah.
Like Joe's, like he doesn't want to talk about his spaceship. Some of us can get to Neptune, Matt. But yeah, that happened, and that's actually kind of fun. It's a fun little year roundup thing. I would kind of like if it was have a little bit more in terms of like, I want to say concrete details. Like there's stuff I'd like to know about the day-to-day running of various Blizzard games. And I'd really like to know what the Heroes of the Storm things. Like what's the deal with all these Heroes of the Storm patches, guys? Come on. Just give these people want Heroes of the Storm. Just either give it to them or crush their hopes already.
I mean, our hopes have already been crushed a while ago. We're sort of just piecing them together with hope and duct tape. And
that's what I'm saying.
Each patch note is another roll of Gorilla Tape.
Yeah, and I'm saying that they need to either say, yes, that's fine, or crush you again. You know? Either give you what you want or just destroy you. I don't know. Let's see what else we got here.
Blizzard, I'll come design. I'll come design heroes for you. Let's go. Like I got millions of hours in these types of games. Let's go.
Put him in the basement. Give him some snacks.
And a cat tree. I want a cat tree.
Yeah, he wants a cat tree. You don't have to give him a cat. Just give him a tree. Maybe a laser pointer. But also we have these various sales, which Liz was kind enough to link us to. So there's a ton of sales going on because it is, again, Capitalism Day. Capitalism Month.
Season.
Yeah, season. That's probably good.
Go ahead, Liz.
I mean, you've got all of these sales for World of Warcraft stuff. I know some people out there continually wait for the Warcraft services sale. They're on sale to move your characters, rename your characters, change your races, etc., etc. You want to do that? It's a little cheaper right now, among other things.
There are so many pets on sale, guys.
Yeah, it's like you don't realize how many pets there are until Blizzard is posting a list of them for sale.
Same with mounts.
And
toys. Yeah, there are so many toys.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But the mounts, to me, really caught my eye because one of them is that cat who just looks like a house cat. It's just a big house cat that you can ride on. It's like you have these others.
It's kind of glowing. It's a glowing house cat.
They try to make the house cat happen, and it's a cool mount, but it will never be Fat Cat for Final Fantasy XIV. I'm sorry, Blizzard.
It's also never going to be Cat Bus, dude. Cat Bus is far more important, and then it's never going to be Cat Bus. I mean, I'm kind of sad. Well, the Cat Bus is disturbing. He's got like 20 legs. What's up with all the legs, Cat Bus?
That's the disturbing part. It's not that you're riding inside of it.
Oh, well, that gets into a whole new thing where you go beyond disturbing and into squick because the seats and it's all made out of his internal stuff. But apparently nobody cares. People just sitting on it. Like, okay, that's good, Cat Bus. But anyway, looking at all the various cuties here. Just looking at the pets, there's a sloth. If you don't already have a sloth, I don't know why. Because they were giving them away.
The sloth is great. It's also one of those pets that when you summon it, it will ride on your back. There are a few pets like that. All great.
The sloth was the first one I remember doing that. It actually put on there real good.
The sloth was one of the charity pets, right? That was
I think
a year or two ago.
I believe so, yeah.
And of course, the current charity pet is Revan, who proceeds go to Cure Duchenne's, which I think we all remember the tragic story, the tragic Netflix documentary that made us all cry, The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. That's benefiting that charity. And also it's a pet, but it's also a backpack with a tiny fox in it. And
wearing a Sherlock Holmes hat.
Very important.
Occasionally a butterfly will fly around you and land on its nose, and then it will sneeze and the butterfly will fly away. I just thought that's important. You needed to know that.
Yeah. Now, if you'll excuse us, we're going to have to mute for a couple of minutes.
So it's not so you aren't only supporting charity. You are getting a tiny fox in a Sherlock Holmes hat who rides around on your back, and occasionally a butterfly lands on his nose. It's amazing.
Let's just remember that if you don't have that, that could be something happening to you.
I should clarify, that is not on sale. You can buy it, but it is not discounted. It is.
But it exists. And you can have it.
Charity now. But yes, it exists and you can have it. And I highly
and to slightly segue away from that, the 97th Oscars shortlists were just announced today, and The Remarkable Life of Ibelin is on the shortlist for documentary feature.
Oh, that's incredible.
Thank God for you tied that in. I was like, where's he going with this?
We got there, though. We got there.
We got there in the end, yeah. You just got to go with it, like a movie. You don't get to ask who's that guy at the first scene. It's going to tell you. You just got to trust in the movie.
Oh no, people get to ask. I remember sitting there. Who is that person? For God's sake, the movie just started. Just watch it. Although nothing will ever beat when I was watching Avengers in 2012, and when Captain America is talking to the waitress that he saved, and someone in the room screamed, "That's Ashley Johnson!" and threw their drink at the screen. I was like, "Yeah, she's an actress. Calm down. Holy cow!" So yeah, there's an obscure D&D tie-in.
There's your Critical Role Avengers crossover written just for you.
All right. How much time we have left, Joe? Because I know we started a little late.
We got about 8 minutes left.
Alrighty, then I'm going to try this. There's a bunch of stuff here about all the games we had this week, the game awards we've had this week. I just want to mention this thing that Liz has is demos we can't wait to try. And what demos? Are there any demos you guys want to play or whatever? I like this idea. I went and looked at the demos in our article, and they're all kind of like cute, which is great. I don't mind a cute game. But I don't think any of these are the ones for me. But do any of these really work for you guys? Like any of these demos that you want to play?
Some of the games I'm looking forward to, not demo kind of games. Like I'm really looking forward to the Outer Worlds 2.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited. I'm so excited. I cannot contain myself. But I did play one of these demos. I played Craft, which is
I'm so looking forward to War.
It's the flip side of War. It's Craft, and you are running a fantasy shop, and you are building things to sell in your shop, and clients come by and ask you for things. And during the demo, a person comes by and asks you for a tiara, and they want the tackiest, most trashy tiara you can possibly construct. They're very specific. They want like something horrible. So your character goes out in the back alley behind your shop, and you pick up all of this trash, which then you use to construct a tiara. And it's like you use sticks and bones and bird skulls and scraps of fabric and maybe buttons or discarded show tickets, and it's like you turn this into a tiara based, like there are some kind of little crafting mini games where you're like using the forge to make things, but and you have like different patterns for different kinds of tiaras, and you sort of have to fit your sticks and bones into kind of a pattern that works, that is tiara shaped. But then you can just go crazy. It's like, okay, I'm gonna glue a button and a bird skull onto the center of it. I'm gonna put this rusty old gear over here. I'm gonna hang some dying flowers on it. You can just go for it. And you give it to the customer, and it's like it gives you a rating based on quality. I'm real curious to see how those numbers work, but I maxed out that quality rating. I'm very pleased with myself. I'm going to hold that memory in my heart.
Okay. Anybody else?
Kill the
I didn't
music.
play any of the demos.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It can just be a game you want to play, man. I don't care. Just talk about something.
Well, I was going to segue into that, but then I was stepping on Joe's toes.
Okay, Joe.
Kill the music. I love rhythm games. It's probably one of those things that I have dumped the most amount of time into that isn't a roguelike, and sometimes are also roguelikes. This is something that really piqued my interest, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands and playing the demo, because it's environmental music plus interactive notes. Power up your instruments as you fight off waves of undead enemies. Yes, please. And the description of Hades roguelike, so death is temporary, with the rhythm system. I mean, it's basically like Crypt of the Necrodancer for me, and that's another game that I just have stupid amounts of hours in. So super excited to try that.
Okay, Corey.
Borderlands 4 is coming. It's not really a big surprise, but I've played the living crap out of all the other Borderlands and Tiny Tina game, so I'm definitely in for this one. I don't even feel like I need a demo for it, because I'm sure that whatever slight gameplay tweaks they've done, it's still going to be Borderlands at its core.
Mm-hmm.
So, for some reason, I thought you said Borderlands.
I did say Borderlands.
Okay, that's coming out?
Borderlands 4.
2025.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't. Wow, I guess the movie didn't kill it. Cool. That movie was terrible, so I'm glad it didn't kill the game.
I've heard that the movie is terrible.
they were probably working on Borderlands 4 before the movie bombed. So
Almost
they had to
assuredly.
release it whether it bombed or not.
Oh, it bombed. It bombed.
Yeah,
hard.
it did. But
So, yeah.
the game was already there.
Ironically, for me, the game I was thinking of, Joe went and said his, and then I realized that I was going to have a hard time saying mine, but I'm going to say it anyway. Kill the Shadow. You guys seen this thing?
Mm-mm.
Kill the Shadow. It's by Shadowlight Sanctuary and 663 Games, and it's like, imagine a Capcom fighting game from the 80s, but they're adapting Disco Elysium with it. It's this whack, bizarre, first kind of like 1.5% perspective, side-scrolling RPG. I don't know how to explain this.
Question
really
mark?
weird game. Yeah, like it is watching you move your character through, like you're playing this guy Lucas, who's a cop who's now broken down and has barely any will to live. But in the past, he was this up and coming cop, and you explore how he ended up in the bad place he's in now and what he's doing to get out of it and so forth. And it's kind of feels a little bit like not the Yakuza games, but there was a Hong Kong triad fighting game a few years back that just didn't make it, but it was really good. And it had like a DLC where you played a hopping vampire. This is probably not helping anyone, but it feels kind of like that in terms of its mood and pacing. It's bizarre, but it's fun. And it really does. It reminds me, the way that the character portraits come up when you talk to them, it reminds me a lot of the way Airship Syndicate did their Battle Chasers JRPG. It's very similar to that, where you talk to somebody and your pixelated sprite doesn't look like anything, but then the character portrait comes up with their dialogue. Kind of the way Disco Elysium did too, for that matter. So yeah, it's got a lot of stuff going on. And when Joe said kill the music, I was like, can I still use mine? Whatever. So I went with it anyway. But yeah, give that a shot. It's bizarre. It is a weird little game. I did play the demo thing.
Yeah.
I actually. However, that means we're now basically out of stuff to say. I can say that Arcane Season 2 was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Not
really
yet.
cool.
I liked it. I'm not going to say anything else because I have in the past been a little loose with story spoilers. But I will say that I liked it a lot, and I really liked how they worked certain characters in, and that's all I'll say on that front.
Yeah, it's well worth your time, and the animation alone is well worth watching. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And oh boy, were a lot of people upset when it didn't win Best TV show adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who did win?
Fallout.
It's kind of hard not to say Fallout
Oh.
wasn't very good.
Yeah.
They were both very
Fallout,
good.
Yeah, that's the problem. Where even though we have things like Borderlands, the movie, bombing, we have also had some really great video game shows. And Fallout was spectacular. I mean, Arcane, I love the heck out of Arcane, but Fallout managed to just totally capture the feeling of playing a Fallout game.
Yeah, and I think they were both really, really good for different reasons. Like Arcane is a culmination of years of essentially the team trying to fix the lore of Runeterra, right? Like they like everything that they did in the show was stuff that I know people have been working on, like changing the backgrounds of heroes and updating the story so that it actually made like sense as opposed to what it was originally. And like it was a complete reworking of the mythos of the world, whereas Fallout was a perfect encapsulation of what makes Fallout. They were both fantastic. Yeah. It's just
but plus also this is the first time Fallout was up for anything. Versus Arcane got a lot of awards and attention when it came out, and this was season 2.
Oh, for sure.
So I think to a certain degree there was a little bit of this is the slightly newer thing. But I liked them both a lot. I have this theory, and I don't know what you guys think, but I'll throw it out there and you guys can reject it or whatever. I think it's better for video games to get TV series adaptations, because the shortest video game I've ever played took me 16 hours to finish. You know what I mean? And 16 hours is way too long for a movie. I feel like trying to break some of these, like Halo, trying to break Halo down into a TV series has barely worked.
Movies,
trying to do it as a movie,
it's the same discussion we've had about comic books being converted over into movies.
Yeah, that didn't really work until they just committed to doing multiple movies.
It would also never worked until they committed to not doing a one-to-one comic book story.
Yeah,
right. And then even then, some of them do work better as serials, like the street level heroes, because the street level heroes are like look at Jessica Jones and Punisher and Daredevil and even Iron Fist. They do better in that type of format because it's a longer form of storytelling that lets you be a lot subtler with what's happening. So games are much the same boat.
I really do think that Arcane is a really great example of not just the mythologizing you talked about, updating Runeterra and making some characters like Vi really did not have good backstories.
Nope, she was a Piltover cop, and now she's got so much more.
Amazing.
And Caitlyn is such a more complex character, and Jinx is a more complex character, and Heimerdinger.
Jinx is a character. Jinx is no longer Harley Quinn with a bazooka. She's actually a person. It is really something how they did this. But I think at this point we probably should close up shop.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's usually my cue to do this, which is Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast signing community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance to have your questions answered on our podcast, or the Q and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you as well to Corey and Liz for being here and helping the show talk about things other than the same 2 games over and over again. We appreciate that.
There are other games?
Yes, and you guys helped us talk about more of them. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners for being here, for listening to us, whether you're listening to us live or recorded. You make the show possible, and we're really glad that you're here. If you've got a question for the show, I know we didn't do any questions this week. But we are going to come roaring back on that once we hit much slower time. It just that there keeps being a relatively high amount of stuff happening. For December, this is ridiculously busy. If you've got a question, you can go to our Discord. We've got the Q and Podcast Questions channel for everybody. If you just want to ask a question, you can go right in there. Or you can go, if you're a patron, you can go to the Patreon Q and Podcast Questions channel, which, we like to give patrons first crack because they keep us going, as we mentioned in the beginning of the show. Or you can email us. We do have an address for that. It's podcast@blizzardwatch.com. You can also email for other podcasts we do, like Lore Watch. Just tell us which podcast you want us to answer your question in. And that's basically it. If you're on Patreon, you can actually talk to us directly there. You can send a message and Dan will get it. And as I think Joe pointed out this weekend, Dan will almost immediately come up with a cat-related GIF to show us while telling us about this question. So get ready to be converted into a cat meme. And I hope you take the opportunity here, because I love cat meme. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll be back next week.